they're trading at 18 times earnings right now, and the market S&P is trading around 20 or 21. So I see no world where a Meta should be trading under the market multiple with their opportunity and distribution and eyeballs that they currently own.
I'm still stuck on the bottleneck bros. I really like that. I was just reading about that. It certainly is a very recent Wall Street term that people are using. I'm going to use it as well. Do we care about the fact that Amazon and the likes are tapping the debt market, some tapping the equity market right now to raise a bit of extra cash? I mean, do we have any concern about that, or is that okay?
I mean, I think Google opened the floodgate a bit a couple weeks ago when they were the first on the Mac 7 to really go down that route. And I think that you saw the market not punish the stock when they did so. So I think that you're going to see a lot more signs of these massive companies levering the financial markets in order to optimize the most amount of cash to build these data centers. And I think that's okay because right now they are being able to sell the markup their capex with a return that's higher than 5%. And if they weren't using this cash, it would just be getting that 4 to 5% return on the sidelines. But right now they're seeing a significant market for their AI products, the more data centers they build up. So until that goes away, I see no issues with that. I do see an issue when you see the more bad agents of the group, like you're seeing CoreWeave has to get 8% loans, essentially, 8% interest loans in order to fulfill their data center build out. That's a little worrisome because they are Amazon, Google, Microsoft. They have the luxury of they have the cash in order to do it themselves, but they don't want to because it's not financial engineering 101. It's not smart to have all the risk yourself. CoreWeave don't have the luxury, so they need to suck up that 8% interest rate. So I have no issue with it. I do think that if there's more bad agents who participate in this, I'd be a little worrisome. It might be a little more systemic if we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. But
NVIDIA stock moved higher on Monday, but it continued to lag the overall semiconductor rise as investors remained skeptical about the company's ability to grab the next wave of artificial intelligence infrastructure investment. In early trade, the stock increased 0.5% to $195.86, trailing the overall semiconductor sector. The iShares Semiconductor ETF rose 4.3%, driven by a 10% increase in Western Digital and an 8% increase in Teradyne. Advanced Micro Devices rose about 10%, while Intel rose around 6%. Marvell Technology and Oracle were also trading higher. Despite still being the major producer of AI graphics chips, NVIDIA has failed to keep up with other semiconductor stocks in recent months. Investor focus has shifted to memory chips, central processing units, semiconductor equipment manufacturers, and custom AI silicon, with many market participants wondering whether future artificial intelligence spending will be spread across a wider range of companies, rather than concentrated primarily on NVIDIA. Despite the fact that enthusiasm for AI infrastructure remains high across the semiconductor business, NVIDIA has underperformed many of its peers as a result of this shift. To add to investor anxiety, research firm SemiAnalysis stated that NVIDIA's next-generation Kyber rack scale architecture has been delayed by more than a year. According to the article, Kyber, which is supposed to house NVIDIA's Rubin Ultra CPUs, is now scheduled to ship in 2028 rather than 2027. The rack scale system aims to combine 144 of NVIDIA's most sophisticated chips into a single computing system for AI tasks. SemiAnalysis stated that the delay is due to manufacturing problems with a vital printed circuit board utilized in the architecture. The Kyber NVL144 rack architecture has been delayed until 2028 due to manufacturing challenges with the PCB midplane, according to the research firm. The rumored delay is the latest in a string of issues affecting NVIDIA's next-generation product pipeline. However, the firm has not commented on the report. Despite NVIDIA's recent underperformance, Goldman Sachs retained its buy rating and set a $285 price target. According to the investment bank, investors will likely focus on several key issues in the coming quarters, including potential upside to NVIDIA's previously outlined $1 trillion data center opportunity, growth in the company's server CPU business driven by agentic AI, competitive dynamics in the AI infrastructure market, and gross margin trends as component costs rise. Goldman Sachs anticipates NVIDIA to post a beat-and-raise quarter, driven by favorable industry supply and demand trends. However, the firm acknowledged that expectations remain high and the bar for meaningful stock outperformance is high. According to Goldman Sachs, NVIDIA's value now trades at a significant discount to historical levels as a result of the stock's recent underperformance. The firm believes the shares could command a higher valuation multiple if hyperscalers improve profitability while continuing to invest heavily in AI infrastructure, enterprise adoption of agentic AI accelerates, and investors gain more visibility into deployments outside of the company's traditional customer base. Goldman Sachs also boosted its earnings estimates by around 12% on average, with new calendar year 2026 and 2027 forecasts that are 14% and 34% higher than broader Wall Street expectations. The bank expects further earnings estimate revisions and multiple expansion to support NVIDIA shares over the next 12 months, noting that the company has still generated a 78% return over the past year while delivering revenue growth of 65%, despite recent underperformance relative to the broader semiconductor industry. NVIDIA begins the second half of 2026 under increasing pressure to maintain both its market supremacy and investor trust. While the business remains the world's largest by market value, its stock has underperformed numerous semiconductor peers this year as investors shift their focus to the artificial intelligence (AI) supply chain. The company continues to benefit from the high demand for AI chips. However, questions are arising about NVIDIA's ability to maintain its supremacy as its top customers develop alternative technology and Apple closes the market value gap. NVIDIA has remained the world's most valuable publicly traded business by market capitalization for 258 straight days after recovering the top spot from Microsoft in late June of last year. Although the streak is one of the longest this century, it is still well below Apple's longest period as market leader. Between 2013 and 2018, Apple topped the charts for 1,344 days in a row. Furthermore, Apple is bridging the gap, with a $4.53 trillion valuation following a 13% increase in 2026. NVIDIA's market value is at $4.72 trillion, up only 3% this year. NVIDIA has maintained a continuous rate of technological progress by upgrading its AI chips on a yearly basis. The company aims to launch large quantities of its latest Vera Rubin hardware in the second half of the year. It is also branching out outside data center chips, with a newly announced CPU geared at the consumer PC market. Over time, NVIDIA is looking to developing markets such as robotics. However, greater commercial adoption could help alleviate investor concerns about the sustainability of the AI investment cycle. On the manufacturing front, NVIDIA has mostly avoided major production hiccups. The company continues to invest in key suppliers while establishing long-term agreements for vital components such as memory chips. Chief Executive Officer Jensen Huang has also struck a compromise between political demands for further investment in the United States and obtaining production capacity from Taiwan's semiconductor production. NVIDIA is increasingly pursuing a shareholder return strategy similar to Apple's. Apple spends nearly all of its free cash flow on share buybacks. NVIDIA intends to return approximately 50% of its free cash flow this year through dividends and buybacks, with management indicating that this proportion may expand over time. The strategy indicates increased confidence in the company's capacity to generate cash while rewarding long-term shareholders. Aside from hardware, NVIDIA continues to profit from its CUDA software platform, which has contributed to a strong competitive position in AI model training. The next hurdle will be to demonstrate that CUDA remains equally effective in AI inference, which is the process of running learned AI models. This field is becoming increasingly competitive. Cerebras Systems claims that its integrated hardware and software platform outperforms NVIDIA's inference performance. At the same time, Alphabet and Amazon are creating unique AI chips for external customers while also purchasing NVIDIA processors for their own AI infrastructure. The development reflects an increasingly complex competitive landscape in which some of NVIDIA's largest clients are also becoming rivals. To match Apple's long-term durability, NVIDIA may need to expand its ecosystem beyond enterprise AI infrastructure. Its growth into consumer PCs and, eventually, robotics could contribute to the creation of a more integrated hardware and software environment that fosters customer loyalty, comparable to Apple's tightly connected product portfolio. Successfully developing such an ecosystem could reduce customer switching while opening up new revenue streams beyond data centers. On Thursday, NVIDIA's shares extended their recent decline. The stock briefly surged above $200 after opening higher, before reverting course. Despite maintaining one of the leading benefactors of AI-related investment, NVIDIA fell behind other semiconductor businesses in 2026. The semiconductor industry has seen significant improvements in the first half of the year. The VanEck Semiconductor ETF gained more than 70% in the first 6 months of 2026, its best first-half performance since the fund's inception in 2000. Following the surge, several major semiconductor stocks saw profit-taking. Investor interest has also shifted to other sectors of the AI supply chain. Memory chip manufacturers have profited from supply limitations and rising demand, while CPU businesses have gained traction since next-generation agentic AI systems are expected to require much more computing resources. Micron has emerged as a major beneficiary of the memory cycle. Advanced Micro Devices and Intel have also benefited as investors predict more CPU demand and further AI infrastructure expansion. Despite ongoing demand for NVIDIA's graphics processors, increased investor interest has made the investment landscape more competitive. Despite its modest 3% increase in 2026, some investors believe NVIDIA might perform substantially better in the second half of the year if AI spending continues to accelerate into 2027. NVIDIA is now trading at around 21.5 times forward earnings, which is roughly in line with the S&P 500. In the preceding 2 years, the company's valuation had risen to more than 40 times anticipated earnings by year-end. Supporters of the stock suggest that continuing AI infrastructure investment may support a higher valuation if investors begin to factor in planned spending after 2026. Whether NVIDIA can regain momentum will likely be determined by its ability to maintain technological leadership, defend its software ecosystem, expand into new consumer markets, and demonstrate that long-term AI demand remains stable amidst intensifying competition in the semiconductor industry.
There was a really interesting announcement the other day from OpenAI about GPT 5.6 SOL, their most powerful model yet. And buried in this blog post was a mention about it being launched on Cerebras on up to 750 tokens per second. Why is this significant for your company?
Well, this is one of the smartest models on Earth, all right? And when we can deliver smart models quickly, all right, the results are more valuable. Right? Nobody wants to wait for answers. And this is the best model, the frontier model, and you get answers 15, 18, 20 times faster on Cerebras equipment. And so that was really important to us.
So was this something that OpenAI co-designed with you in terms of being able to run this model at that speed on your equipment?
So as you remember, we announced in January a massive partnership with OpenAI, north of $20 billion worth of business over the next several years. And what we announced at the time is that we would be serving their leading edge models. And so this is a continuation of exactly what we'd previously announced, a new cutting edge model, and that we'd be serving it on the fastest AI hardware. So that's sort of the smartest model on the fastest hardware.
How does this sort of sync up with OpenAI's own push to develop its own custom chips eventually?
Well, look, I think their jalapeno chip will be a super chip. I think it will compete more squarely with other GPUs. Sort of, we are the fastest, and it will use their chips uses a different type of memory, which is the underpinning of speed, and so it will compete with sort of traditional GPUs, where we're holding down the end of the absolute fastest in the industry.
You know, speed, of course, is one thing, latency another. What about cost? Because this has become a huge focus from the market, particularly on the frontier models, where enterprises are now looking at the token maxing trend that has gone by and saying, well, these frontier models are expensive. Can we do this with open source? When it comes to running, 5.6 SOL on your systems, are you able to get a cost advantage in any way?
I think the following. I think sort of when you measure how much you spend, not how much it produces, you're probably not doing your best thinking, right? When people were announcing we're spending this much on tokens, rather than we're spending this much on tokens and getting this much in return, right? These are productive things. And if you use them in non-productive ways, that's a waste. And it doesn't matter whether you're using a leading edge model or an open source model, right? That waste is waste. And so I think what's happening is the market is learning I think they are now measuring productivity rather than just spend. And I think the way you make your top people productive is by giving them tools that are fast. All right, nobody wants to use slow search. Nobody wants to use slow internet. Nobody wants to use slow AI. And by making it faster, all right, you can make your people more productive. And when they're more productive, all right, value is being created left and right.
But on the point around cost, one of the concerns is perhaps that actually they weren't seeing that return on investment from their frontier models, or they were saying, well, why do we need such a powerful model for this thing we have to do? And so, that is where this conversation around open source has come up.
Look, I think as the market matures, I think it's probably the case that you don't need a giant bus to go to the grocery store, right? That we will find a path where hard problems migrate to one class of models and easier problems migrate to others. That's the way the industry works, right? Certain workloads migrate to some type of compute and easier workloads to others. And I think as we learn and become more sophisticated in our deployment of AI, the same thing will happen.